Welcome back to Where Wine Takes You, where the wine is just the beginning. And the real story starts with the people crazy enough to make it. I'm your host, Adam Montiel. Now, today's episode, all about opportunity. And not the kind that just shows up, knocks politely, and hands you a winery. Now, this is the kind you chase after work. The kind you build between harvest shifts, cellar jobs, family life, side hustles, and whatever other chaos the wine business decides to throw at you. I sat down with two of Paso's most exciting emerging winemakers and brands, Phil Lamontagne, owner and winemaker of IIWII Wines, and Taylor Mathiesen, owner and winemaker of Cutbow Wines. Both brands launched in 2022. Both were built from mentorship, relationships, and the particular kind of open door generosity that still makes Paso feel different from any other wine region. But these aren't not two versions of the same story. IIWII, which is spelled IIWII. I know, we'll ask them. It's short for It Is What It Is. Takes the raw materials of a vintage, a hillside, and a winemaker's imagination, really, right? And turns them into something Phil describes like abstract art under a cork. Cutbow. Cutbow was born from kind of a happy accident, we'll learn. A ton of Grenache, a push from mentor Brett Ernest of Levo, and a name rooted in Taylor's love of fly fishing, family, and really the idea of two things coming together to create something entirely their own. We talk about learning from Paso's old guard without simply just copying it. So kind of playing really cool to that episode a couple back. We talk about making wine while still working on the day job, finding a voice in an incredibly crowded market. I mean, increasingly more and more hard to get noticed. These guys are getting noticed. And why the story on the label only matters if the wine in the bottle delivers. It's got to deliver. And we get into the bigger question in a business that's not exactly handing out easy wins right now, to say the least. Why do talented people keep taking the leap? Thank God they do. Maybe because Paso's still making room for it. Later on in our Travel Paso Spotlight, we're going to trade the wine glass for something with a little more proof in it. We're going to hit up the Paso Robles Distillery Trail for Distillery Trail Weekend, August 7th through 9th, 3 days, 12 boutique distilleries, no ticket required, and some of the most exciting craft spirits being made not just in Paso, no, not just in California, but in the country. We'll also talk about why these really small world-class producers, they need our attention to a certain issue and support right now, and I think it's worth bringing up. Because the fight to get their bottles into your hands is about to get a lot more complicated in the state of California than it should be. Now, before all that, you got to check the pulse of Paso with a fresh, new Paso Wine Wire. Let's go.
The Paso Wine Wire.
Now, I've told you this before, and I want to remind you again because this is coming up next weekend, so right around a week from now, and that is the Paso White Wine Invitational. Coming back for year 3, this thing has grown fast. We featured it a few weeks back. What started as a bold little idea between a few like-minded wineries has turned into really a very much anticipated white wine event, and I'm certainly excited for it. This year it all goes down at Rava, 4 to 7 August on Saturday, next Saturday. That's August 1st, right? More than 20 producers pouring their wines, and they're only talking to producers that have at least 3 white wines. Talking Tables Creek, Union Sacre, Paso Terre, Monochrome, Canero, Alta Colina, Thatcher, Rococo, Giornata, Villa Creek, IIWII. They'll be there. Today's guest, IIWII, will be there. So some really cool stuff. Looking forward to it. The Paso Robles White Wine Guild. Check it out. The White Wine Invitational coming to Rava. We'll put the links in the show notes. All right, finally, if you've never read a Tables Creek blog, it is really worth mentioning. They've been taking a look back, a recent one was just fantastic, at the small block of vines with an absolutely massive legacy. Their original nursery block, now 32 years old, and it's still healthy, productive, apparently not done teaching us things. And that was the point of Jason's blog. When Tables Creek and the Perrin family first brought their Coron varieties into the US, they started with just a handful of cuttings. Those cuttings had to be quarantined, propagated, planted, eventually became the source material for vineyards all over the West Coast. At its peak, Tablas Creek was selling hundreds of thousands of vines a year to something like 600 vineyards. Isn't that wild? According to Jason Haas, when he walks around Rhone Rangers tasting today, something like 70% of the wineries in that room are working, at least in part, with cuttings that came from Tablas Creek. Think about that. And there's a fascinating part of this. Those original vines were planted on their own roots, ungrafted, and they're aging better than expected. The Tablas Creek blog is unlike any other. Super comprehensive, lots of pics, super informative. I really, really encourage you to check it out. Great write-up, Jason.
The Paso Wine Wire.
All right, still on the show later, we're trading the wine glass for something, like I said, with a little more proof. Today's Travel Paso Spotlight, we're hitting the Paso Robles Distillery Trail for Distillery Trail Weekend happening August 7th through 9th. These boutique distilleries, they're just incredible. 3 days, no ticket required. You just grab a map, build your own route, and start exploring some of the most exciting small batch spirits being made anywhere. Also, I'll tell you about that 2026 Copper Card they're offering, the VIP perks that it unlocks, and why supporting these small business and distilleries, it matters more than ever right now. I'll tell you why, coming up in our Travel Paso Spotlight. And before your next travel adventure to Paso, make sure you do check out travelpaso.com, whether you're planning a wine weekend, craft spirits escape, or maybe a food-filled getaway, or all three. Travel Paso has everything you need to sip, stay, and explore like a local. Start planning now. Go to travelpaso.com. All right, you ready? Today's conversation about two young wine brands, but it's also about everything that has to happen before the bottle ever reaches your table. Think about it, the mentors, the day jobs, the cellar hours, the relationships with growers. My guests, Phil Lamontagne, owner winemaker of IIWII Wines, and Taylor Mathiesen, owner and winemaker of Cutbow Wines. And while their stories are different, they share a through line that feels deeply Paso, perfectly Paso. They learned from the people who came before them. They found the courage to step off that path and build something on their own. You take a look at Phil, grew up around Paso, but wine wasn't some predestined family business. He found his way into it by helping friends, working the front of the house, knocking on cellar doors, asking questions, and realizing that wine is one of those rare careers where you can never stop learning. And there's Taylor Mathiesen. Taylor came to Cal Poly to study recreation, parks, tourism, not wine. But when vineyards start surrounding your college experience, sometimes the major finds you. He took a part-time tasting room job at Booker, learned from some of the absolute best, and in 2022, left Booker, joined Brett Ernest and Levo, looking for a small operation, more flexibility, to maybe someday a chance to start his own label. Well, that someday arrived a lot faster than expected. So this conversation, it's about branding, storytelling, mentorship, and the very real hustle of building a wine company while life and the day job keep moving. We'll talk about why Paso still creates opportunity for young winemakers, why access to the region's old guard matters a lot. And I don't know about you, but I'm ready to drop in. Let's go.
So give me that moonshine, we'll keep on. We fast on out till the job is done. Can't out in the trees, the world's amplifying good company.
Cheers.
Cheers, gents.
Cheers.
Yeah, this is so good. I love this. This is a lot of fun. I'm so glad we got a chance to talk to you guys because in the last episode we had old guard, new guard. You know, we had Kyle Jury here from Truss, and he started. You guys both started in 2022, right?
Yeah. Cutbow, we launched in 2022.
And
Same here, yeah.
Same thing with Truss. So to hear him with someone like Paul Hoover, I don't know if you guys met Paul Hoover before.
Yeah.
I mean, like the stories. I mean, he's been doing this for 30-something years, right? The whole thing. So super cool dynamic, but I am excited to chat with the two of you as these emerging brands. How are we taking this business, which is, you know, dealing us the cards that it's dealing right now? But these are hot brands. These are exciting brands. And I think we all have day jobs in here, right? Like, I mean, so we're on the hustle. We're on the grind right now.
Oh yeah, at least one day job at a time.
Yeah,
right.
100%.
What is Paso affords you that you don't think you would get in any other wine region? What is it about Paso, Taylor, that just, really lights you up?
Opportunity. Yeah. I don't think that I would have the opportunity to launch my own brand and have collaboration with other winemakers and farmers in any other region other than Paso. I think that's what makes Paso so special is there is this like influence from the old guard down to the young, guys like us, to go out and do their own thing, do their own brand, farm their own vineyards, whatever it is. So I think that's what I am like super appreciative of, these mentors before me, to kind of like pave the path. And then, how can I kind of go on that path and then veer off of it a little bit and do my own thing? Yeah.
What about you, Phil?
I think you hit on something there that I always like to tell people coming to Paso is that the accessibility that we have in Paso, it's true for the people coming in to taste. Most of the tasting rooms you go to, especially small producers, you're getting family, you're getting the people making the wine, you're getting that. But even as winemakers, we have access to that too. And when I was starting off and I was working for the Hoages early on, if I tasted a wine I love from somebody, I could go knock on a cellar door. Hey, man, I love this wine. What did you do? And they would break it down for me from the pick to everything they did through fermentation, all the management on the wine. And that way, I feel like as a young region and as a young winemaker, we can play a little catch up to those other regions that have had generations of experience. I think when we work as a pool and we work as a team, our collective knowledge helps us push the boundaries a lot quicker and develop a lot better and quicker that way.
It is so cool that like that dynamic that you talk about was going down decades ago. There's Neil Utzon calling up Gary or Toby calling up Doug Becker. You know what I mean? Like this was a dynamic that is kind of quintessential to Paso. And it comes down to the people. And it's always one of those pieces of the recipe that I think, the climate, the soil, we're so lucky in Paso. But when it comes to the people, I don't know that any place does it better.
Absolutely. I think when you get the chance to meet all of the people who've been involved over the years, that all these different pockets. Again, I was working with the Hoages, so I was very familiar with their bubble under Justin Smith and that whole gang. I got to meet a lot of those guys. Everyone took extra time out. The people who I would never expect to take time out of their day, because I know how busy they are, I know how in demand they are. And they would spend the afternoon running me through stuff, running through wines, tasting through stuff with me, and really like making sure not just kind of, oh, here's a tidbit and a pat on the back and go on, but actually spending legitimate time and making sure that there's an impact with what it is that they're doing.
Now, part of branding is association. It's, knowing what something says on a label, how to pronounce it. You have such a unique brand that even in the beginning, I was like, and it took someone who's like, quote, in the know. Oh, Adam, that's IIWII. You're like, oh, shoot. Okay, well, tell me more, Don't you see it? It is what it is. I'm like, well, even on the label, it's a little bit kind of cryptic and kind of cool looking. Where did we kind of come up with this? And then as you're having drinks, thinking about it, you're doing your SEOs, you're thinking about like how to stylize my brand. You must have ran into the obvious, like, okay, there's going to be a little bit of people can't say certain varieties of wine, So when it comes to a brand where, people are going to be, asking questions and like being intrigued by it, tell me how it all came together.
So, early on, I partnered on this brand with Cyril Pujadas, who I was working with over at TH. I had hired him on in 2018. And when the Hoages decided to retire, I told him, hey, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to start making wine and I don't know what it'll look like. And he's like, well, whatever it is, I want to jump on board. And he's the one who actually came up with the name. And what I loved about it is I love the symmetry, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of like different things we could do with the logo. There's a lot of like wiggle room with that. And the
symmetry being like IIWII.
Exactly. Like, there's just a lot of different kind of strong logo designs that I can immediately kind of picture for that.
Are you in that space creatively? Like your mind thinks that way? And
I always joke with people, as a winemaker, we do very important but very monotonous tasks a lot of the time. You spend 12 hours a day sorting fruit on the table. You got plenty of time to think about and envision all kinds of things. And I bug the crew and I try to brush up on my Spanish for as long as they'll deal with me. And then I move on to the meaning of life. And once I have all that figured out, I start going on to secondary and tertiary brand components and things like that. And so I was thinking about it, and I love the idea. And I also loved the concept of kind of reworking it is what it is, because like that there's a connotation of kind of giving up or whatever. And the reality is in wine, like what we're trying to do as winemakers is take a snapshot of this time and place and capture that. And part of it is what it is just paying homage to this. It is this vintage. It is this hillside. It is the weather that year. And it is whatever it was that we wanted to drum up, out of our little tidbit that we put in as winemakers. And so I loved that concept. I immediately, I kind of was last minute because everything in this business is last minute. So I have to put in the artwork for the cork. And so I'm spending the middle of the night doing the artwork design and did the logo design work for that. And then I reached out to a young lady. I'm blanking on her name right now. She does Anthony Yon's labels. Nicole Joy Kirkpatrick. She's awesome. And I had this idea for wanting to do the watercolor for the front. My mom always did watercolor artwork when I was growing up. And I wanted to incorporate the hexagon pattern, which is actually like an aromatic ring or benzene ring. And so that kind of represents like the chemistry of the wine, because most of what you smell, taste, feel. Most of what you smell, taste, feel in there is connected to these aromatic rings. And so I said, hey, start with this and then create abstract art from it. That's all I gave her for the instruction. She went to town and I loved what she came up with. And so it's just kind of a visual metaphor for what we do as winemakers, where it's like the raw chemistry of wine is our palette and we create abstract art every year. And I love abstract art, as you can tell, like you said, way back when, from the label, the logo is abstract, everything's abstract. I kind of want people to come up with their own interpretation.
Yeah, like a songwriter in a way.
Yeah.
There's something about the saying, because it's, again, talk about a songwriter and the way we interpret the songs of our favorite artists. Like we'll listen to the songwriting and we'll kind of give it our own subjective take. And for me, it is what it is almost like a little bit of a surrender. Like, this is what we got. This is what we're dealing with. And this is what we're moving forward with. And then you feel more connected to it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I can't wait till someone asks me when they see your bottle and I go, oh no, dude, this is my boy Phil. It is what it is, And I remember you did my, the breaking and entering Christmas thing. Like, so I got a chance to get at your wines late last year, but just some really fun stuff. And I love, now, do you feel like that's ever been in the way? Like, oh, this translation, it's getting hung up. There's some nets in here.
So when I started, we had, I had a bunch of people who had been following me from my time at Terry Hoage and reached out and were like, man, I don't know. They worked in marketing and they're like, this isn't going to work for you. How are people going to recommend you? This and that. And my whole thing was exactly what you said. It's like, I don't want something that looks like I bought a start your own winery in a box kit. I want something that was very different, was going to look different, was going to be different. And that you kind of had to find your way into. And I think like that poll that you described is what I see when I go to events. I end up with a line of people who just ask, what is the name? What is this thing? Tell me more about it. And it gives me the chance to kind of tell them about what it is we do and pitch the brand and pitch the wines to them.
Well, we're in the business of storytelling too.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, we're winemakers, but we're also storytellers. And like you said, we're trying to capture, this little history, this time, this place, this, vineyard, this soil, whatever. And how can we, capture that, or how can we vocalize that to our audience? And, so yeah, we're not only just doing it through some boozy juice here, but we're doing it through our words, our writings, what we're putting on our website, and trying to just like emulate that to the customer.
That's such a good point. Tell me about Cutbow Wines. Where did that name come from?
Oh gosh. It's not as glorified and pretty of a story as Phil's. So I grew up in the outdoors. I kind of have this like surfing and hunting and fishing background.
Scoot this way a little bit.
Oh yeah. Sure. Yeah. So I started, Cutbow with my wife in 2022. And, we kind of were talking about like what we love, what inspires us. And we kept coming back to the outdoors. And I grew up fly fishing. My grandfather was a fly fisherman. He had 2 daughters. They married, wonderful men. He has tried to push fly fishing onto every single person he's met. And I'm the only grandson. And so when I came around, he pushed it on me, and I was the only one that it actually took. And so,
his favorite then.
Yeah. So we, when I was a kid, we'd, go to the mountains, go fly fishing, hang out for weeks on end, camping, whatever. And so, fast forward 20 years later or whatever, we're starting this wine brand, and my wife and I are talking about, what inspires us. And we kept coming back to fly fishing. And I wanted to honor him. I wanted to honor what I love. And we talked about the Cutbow. And a Cutbow is a hybrid fish. It's a trout. It's a hybrid between a cutthroat trout and a rainbow trout. And I just felt like there was so much symbolism between, my wife and I and the outdoors and, us two coming together and, creating this like offspring, much like the rainbow trout and the cutthroat trout do. And so that's what we kind of landed on. And then on the label side of it, this is all photos that we've taken through our travels, hunting, fishing, camping in the outdoors. And it's just iPhone or little digital camera.
Oh, with some real artistic rendering towards them. Like, I mean, that's not just straight off the camera roll.
Oh yeah, it is. So it's
like the color on that and the contrast, the composition, it's incredible.
So yeah, we took these photos and then we passed it off to one of my best friends who's a graphic designer, and he got them all print worthy, kind of made them sexy for a bottle.
One's like a quarter of your lab's face, but it's like the perfect zoom in of a dog's ear, side of its face, and it's just great.
Yeah, it was kind of intentional. My dad worked in the surf industry my entire life, and he still is there. And so when he was at Reef Sandals, they was talking a lot about like marketing. And
your dad worked for Reef?
Yeah.
Did you have free shit all the time?
I can't remember the last time I bought a pair of clothing or something.
Yeah, that's so sick.
It's been really nice. I don't have to, go shop for myself or anything.
You had like 6 sandals, like forever. All of it.
I don't know, all of it. I mean, he's been at Reef. He's been at O'Neill.
Damn.
Oakley sunglasses. He's currently at Outer Known, Kelly Slater's new brand. That's B Corporation, super sustainable driven.
Sure. So coolest dad ever.
Him and I talk a lot on sales and marketing and branding and creating this story, how do you capture the audience, and so I kept coming back to this like time in my life where he was talking about Reef Sandals, and they were trying to create this like sensual appeal, with some of their models and the products that they were developing. So I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. How can we do that with wine? How can we do that with a label? Zoom it in, kind of get the customer wondering, like, what is that? Ask those questions. So then when they ask those questions, we have something to talk about. Yeah. We have a story to tell them. So
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This white wine, we started with your Chardonnay.
Yep.
Obviously, probably not Paso because it's Chardonnay.
Yeah.
It might be. What is it?
It's Edna Valley.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, Edna Valley Chard.
What's the program on this? It's beautiful. It's like...
Yeah, so my mom and I argue on Chardonnay all the time. She loves buttery, oaky Chardonnays, and I am not like that. My, Emma, my wife, we don't really drink a lot of those. And so I love Chardonnay. I think it's... super polarizing, but also like this chameleon of a wine. Like
it's so versatile.
It's so versatile. You can shape it so many different ways. And anyone that says I don't like Chardonnay, well, it's like you probably haven't had the right one.
Yeah, right. I agree.
Because I think any winemaker out there would be like, no, Chardonnay is pretty awesome, and there's some really bitchin' Chardonnays.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and so when I started, making Chardonnay, and I was like going back and forth, and we were talking about this, and I was like, I really want to make a Chardonnay that my mom will drink and that she'll love. And so, but I also wanted a Chardonnay that I love and I'll drink and that we'll drink at home.
And I don't have to spend a bunch on oak for.
So how can we kind of capture this? But this was our 2023 Salal Vineyard Chardonnay right here in Edna Valley. And all neutral barrel fermented, native yeast. I'm really big into like oxygen in white wines. I want to like get it, we have this term like, if it's brown, it's down. So browning the juice and oxidizing it doesn't go, doesn't have any sulfur until right before bottling. Spends about 9 months in neutral barrels, stirring the lees a lot. So I always pick it really early to kind of capture that like, I don't know, acid, freshness, that like skeleton that kind of props it up. And then like build the muscle, build the fat in the cellar, you know.
Especially with that stirring of the leaves, it really kind of builds mouthfeel and weight.
Texture, weight, all of it. So, you know, that's kind of the meat and potatoes of it is the cellar practices. But, you know, where we're born with, what we're given is that acid and freshness from the pick. And but we don't sulfur this, you know, it's this like death and resurrection style. Kongsgaard kind of really perfected it once upon a time. And so I took bits and pieces of that with our Chardonnay, and then tried to just, you know, get the best of both worlds. You know, I want my wines to be enjoyed by all.
Let's talk about this other white wine. We just got a brand new white wine. This Chardonnay is beautiful. Before we pour your Claret Blanche, what did you like about his Chardonnay, Mr. Phil?
I really like the mouthfeel on it. I mean, you can definitely kind of tell like it has vibrancy, but it has good body to it. And for me, I'm big texturally on white wines. Like it needs to have a little more. I'm not. You know, there's some wines sometimes if you're picking stylistically for something a little more lean that just come off very linear. And so that's not the case here. You have that kind of brightness that pops in the beginning, a nice like full mid palate, and then it finishes tensely again too, which is nice. It's kind of what you're looking for.
Price wines when we're young brands. I mean, both of you guys, you got your day jobs, you're doing your thing. This is our passion. How do we figure out, okay, I've made X amount, I got to move it. But I can't, you know, I don't know. I don't know. What do we choose, especially for a white?
I mean, I remember when Guillaume was starting off, and I always think about this when I question where I'm at price wise, because he was one of the early guys to hop up to $100 a bottle for some of the reds, and it was like, really, are you there yet? But one of the things that he always said is that you know, you kind of have to have the foresight to see where things are going to be. So Cyril and I, we went back and forth a lot, especially with the white wines more so than anything else. Because I kind of think early on I was into breaking the white wines down. We made a Picpoul Blanc in the first year.
Fun. I
didn't want to charge the same price for the Picpoul Blanc because that's not typically what you see. But he said, you know, and it's a very valid point. If I were to lower the price on the Picpoul Blanc, it gives the customer this perceived value that is lesser than the other white wines. And that's not the case. So it's more about, you know, you have to believe in your value. And obviously you put the price out there and you hope that there's people out there willing to pay it. But I've been blown away we've been successful for the white wines, and, you know, we kind of came out at $65 a bottle for them, and it hasn't been any problem. Even Picpoul Blanc at $65 a bottle.
Damn.
Yeah,
that's good.
I did an event with the Rhone Rangers, the kind of their version of the rotating classes kind of a thing this time around, which was a ton of fun. And I was with Adam from Ojai. And he was like, you get $65 a bottle. I'm like, yeah, Adam, time to come up, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, come on, let's do it. Let's get this thing going. I mean, white wines have been criminally underpriced in my mind. It's some of the best wine.
Is this Adam Tomac?
Yes.
So this is a pretty big dude in wine.
He's a big dude in wine. Yeah. For that event, I mean, I was talking with him.
Like, I'm Adam Tomac. I can get $65 for a white wine.
I'm like, yo, bro, I'm the scrub off the streets over here in Paso getting $65.
Oh my God.
But it's like I think that there's, when we started this brand, we sat and we talked with anyone who would talk with us. And, you know, again, fortunately, Paso's full of people who are willing to spend that time. I mean, Cyril helps out over at Torn, helps run the front of the house for them. Scott and Vikel give great advice for things. We met with Stanley and Elena, they gave a bunch of great advice. We met with anybody and everybody we could that had brands established or had started brands. And tried to just kind of get a gauge for things. And really it just kind of came down to you have to push it farther than what you think. Like you need to go for it.
Oh, it's so tough. It's really just like putting yourself out there. What do you think, Taylor, when you and your wife kind of sat down and like, all right, we know this is great wine. We know we're putting our whole heart into this. What do we ask people for it?
Yeah, I think I would second everything that Phil said. We did pretty much the same, you know, went to our mentors, went to our inspiration, went to all the people that have done it before. And I asked them, hey, if you were to go over and do it again, what would you do differently? And they said, I'd price higher from the very get-go. I would, and really just set the standards high from the get-go. Because if you set your standards high right at the beginning, people don't ask questions, but when you have to every year raise your prices, or, hey, you used to get free shipping and now you don't, or, hey, you used to get a discount and now you don't, that's when people kind of are like, whoa, like that's kind of what happened here. You know, I thought we were boys. I thought we were buddies. Like, so yeah, we kind of did stuff like that. But I always use a little bit of the 1% rule, you know, in our bottle pricing. Is like, all right, if I'm going to go spend $6,000 a ton on fruit, well, it should probably be about a $60 bottle. So that's a little bit of mine. But wine pricing is, to be honest, it's whatever you can, whatever the customer is willing to pay for.
I would agonize over it. If I had a brand, I would probably agonize over that more than I would the other things that I know I'd be picky on, labels and image, you know, like all the kind of like stuff that you put on the shelf. I would wonder like what to do, what, you know, the perception, this, that. And also like, I know, you know, we're in a time right now, which I'm sure we'll get into. Like, I mean, if you put your finger on the pulse of the wine biz, we're trying to give it a shot in the arm. Right. And, you know, sometimes that premiumization of it all can kind of be like, oh, damn, it's what? But, you know, you're right though. I mean, like what Phil and what both of you kind of were echoing, look, this is worth it. We're putting a lot into it. And, you know, I love how frank it was. And you kind of go, this is what the market, if this is what the market dictates, is worth it. It's worth it.
Well, yeah. I think also I always want to like underprice, over deliver.
Yes.
You know, like that's such a magic, I think, in our business and frankly, like the entire wine business right now, especially is like, if you can have a value driven wine that tastes more expensive, you're going to probably crush it in the market.
Yeah. What were you about to say?
So I think
so like, true though.
The other thing that like that I think that young brands like us offer right now, like people come to Cutbow, people find him at an event because you don't have a tasting room yet, right?
No.
Okay, hopefully soon. You know, people find us, people go to these new brands. You're at the ground level. And so not only are you saying that, hey, you're paying this for the wine now, but you're helping invest in the future of a brand that you were there at the beginning. Like you are part of the founding group here.
Yeah, this is Peachy Canyon 84. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean,
so cool.
You find that stuff, or you see those bottles floating around that people hold on to, and it's super cool to come across. You know, like and it's like people get the chance to partake and support this, you know, growing thing. And in a world of wine, I think my big problem with wine is that it is a lot of smoke and mirrors. I mean, even in the marketing, it's hard to tell, is this brand affiliated with a big company? Is this brand actually a small brand? And because it's so hard, it's hard for me as somebody who lives and breathes this. It's got to be immensely hard for somebody who's not really in the know that way to decipher everything that's going on. And so to come and, you know, Paso does this great, way better than other regions, which is why I think we have continued success, is that people come and they see the people that do it. They meet people who do it. They get the stories. They're around it, and they get to be a part of it in a way that you just don't get to a lot of places.
No, that's so true.
I think authenticity is like such a key word in this. Like, wine has lost its sense of authenticity. You know, you go to the grocery store and you see all these brands and like, who's behind the brand? And so I think for us, at least, you know, when we're starting brands, is how can we be transparent? How can we be authentic to the people around us, our peers, our customers, and capture that and tell that story? You know, when I was starting the Cutbow, we were talking about like, hey, don't even look at the other wine brands that are doing well right now. Take that away. You know, what are the most successful businesses on, you know, in America or on the planet Earth? And we kept coming back to like Yeti and Patagonia and all these like kind of really inspirational brands where they get, you know, okay, yeah, I have the top influencer and the best person of that sport or whatever it is that's, you know, promoting my product. But then I also have Joe Schmo, you know, the average dude that's just like, yeah, you know, this is kind of my daily job. I'm a blue collar worker and I throw a Yeti in the back of my truck and it keeps my, you know, water, Gatorade and beers cold and stuff. And so, you know, how can we like relate to the public and tell that story? I
think you hit on something there too. Sorry. To me, how we talk about wine, I get together with a group of winemakers, and I think Dave McGee was behind putting the group together. It's just kind of talk about different creativity in winemaking. And when I led one of the groups, my whole spiel was we need to change up how we talk about it. Like, and so my goal was to try to get everyone to sit down and describe these wines without using any wine vernacular. Take it all away. And so it's like, like, okay, cool. This wine drives an El Camino and listens to Southern rock. And, it's like, those are like describing wines in those ways will connect with people that are outside of the bubble and bring them in. And that's what, the wine industry is super slow moving. It's a cruise ship. It's been setting sail from thousands and thousands of years ago, and it's not turning too quick. But I do think like having the ability and the understanding of like, and it don't fake the connection with people. Just, your authenticity, offer the authentic self out there. And some people are going to take and bite and some people won't. But if we're doing that as a community as a whole, I think we get a lot farther, a lot faster. Yeah,
you look at like when a lot of people were throwing their whole hearts and their whole hand into this thing called Paso years and years ago. There might have been like, I think Paul Hoover said he was like winery number 40 or something, right? Well, now I'm curious like how you both look at coming into this business with your whole heart, but you're like 400 or 340. I mean, like there's so many more of you, but then Paso wasn't as established as a region now. It very much is. It is a destination. So where do you think you come into this story? And do you think it's harder or easier coming into it fresh when there are so many others like you?
Getting the privilege, I worked with Terry and Jen for 8 years, and I thanked him at the end of it.
Terry Jen Hoage.
Terry Jen Hoage. And I thanked him at the end of it and I said, hey, you owe me nothing else. The experience alone has been worth a lot. And over the course of that time, I got to meet people who were really trying to pave the way and try to get global recognition or even, get written recognition for Paso Robles at that point in time. And they weren't alone. Their bubble wasn't alone. But to hear how hard it was for them to plow the road that we all freely walk on now, sure, you can say times are tough, but it's not, I don't think it's tougher than it was for those guys at that point in time. I mean, you go back to Paul, you go back to, Gary, you go back to these people who were getting things rolling back then. There was no momentum. We inherit momentum, even though we feel like it's slower momentum. We have so much more than the people who came before us. And I try to think about that all the time. To me, we're still privileged. And we're at an interesting time in Paso where I think there's one whole segment that is like, hey, I don't want to learn any more new tricks. I'm done. And there's a whole group of us that hopefully, get to step in and fill that space. And to be honest with you, in like a dream world for me with Paso would be, we start to get multi-generational, wineries going where all that first sunken cost. I mean, I'm going to plow my way through this and we'll see if I make a dime at the end of the day. I might make a living, hopefully. That's the goal. But if my kids or Cyril's kids want to pick this up and run with it, they have a much easier platform to start from. And if their kids want to go, then it's off to the races at that point. And then, we can talk about then making bottles of wine for a premium. And then I feel like we can start talking about making some more value wine because all that initial first cost can kind of start falling off. I mean, Jason Haas did a great piece on this one time talking about how much it costs you to buy, develop, and produce from a property and why we can't sell wine for any cheaper in certain instances. And so, if we get that, if we can be part of the group of people who plant the flag and stay committed and have family that does it, that would be amazing to me.
Yeah. I love that. Jason Haas, Thomas Creek, his blogs and his storytelling is so good. Thoughts on this, Taylor?
Gosh, no notes really.
I was right.
No, I think, be different, don't do what everyone else has done in the past. You're talking about the Hoages and, like my mentors of Eric, when I was at Booker, before, and it was like, Eric Jensen, Justin Smith, Chris Cherry, the Hollies, all these guys that like paved the road. And if you're going to go start a brand, don't just copy what somebody else has done. That you're going to fail. Like what Justin Smith has done is amazing. I could not go and do that again. Nobody can. that era, what he's done is been there, done that.
Yeah.
So how can you be different? How can you make a wine that's different, that's authentic to yourself, that's authentic to the customer, and
don't try to repave somebody else's greatness.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah, no, sure.
So that's our whole thing. I just want to be different. I want to make a different wine. I want to bring Paso in a different light. We've mastered making these opulent, textural, high octane wines in Paso. What about the fresher side of things? What about the prettier side of things? What about the more feminine side of things? So I think, that will always be there. I'll always try to, achieve, a opulent textural Syrah, but I want Grenache to be pretty and sexy,
I'm with
fun.
you.
And, and so I think for us as young winemakers is, hey, don't copy what the old guard has done. Go pave your own path.
Yeah.
Go do it your way.
Before we talk about day jobs, because I'm fascinated with that and the passion associated with having to, do what we got to do here, but loving what we do over here as well. Let's talk about this white wine, Claret Blanche.
Yes.
Beautiful wine.
Thank you. I had never made Claret before this vintage. I got together with a bunch of different winemakers, and kind of was just talking about, different wines that people were wanting to make. And Claret came up a lot. And even from a lot of the folks that don't make any white wine at all, they were all enamored with it. So the opportunity came up to work with it. I got some from Shangala, and that's the 24 vintage was very fruitful. So I ended up with much more than I anticipated. So
it hangs heavy.
It does hang heavy. And I kind of was like, hey, let's crop down a little bit. We got there because 24 was warm. So it worked out great. But the plus side of that was when I met with people, there was two very different directions that people took Claret with. One very fresh, kind of, lean into the acid, lean into kind of the floral and the nice. I mean, it's honestly, to me, of the Rhone white varietals, it's probably my favorite standalone. It can kind of offer you everything that you want in a white wine for me. And then since I had so much, I did the fresh version, which we released. And then this isn't released yet. I actually took a section of that and I aged it for an additional 10 months, some new oak on there. And then, kind of on the lees. I don't stir. I just kind of let stuff sit on the lees.
Why not stir it up?
It's just been my protocol over the years. I'm very like.
What happened if you stir it up? You think like too much mouthfeel or like?
So where I try to derive the mouthfeel from is in skin contact.
Okay.
I use skin contact in the beginning.
Like white phenols, like that real, like the way that, that's good.
Yeah. You know what? And it's like, I went to school. I can explain to you all the chemistry behind it, but when I'm making the wine, I like the feeling of just kind of winging it a little bit to where it's just kind of like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. This is what I'm tasting when I'm tasting the skins. I feel like this is the skin contact I want to see. And when it comes down to like stuff like the barrel stirring and stuff like that, the only reason I don't do it is I get there and I go, I enjoy where it's at and I play music and I kind of relate to people. Like when you make wine and you first start, it's like first learning an instrument or first learning to sing. Like you're trying to harness this thing. And then as soon as you start to kind of harness and get in this kind of rhythm with it, you can start moving it and doing things that you want with it. You can start painting, painting, or you can start writing the song. And so I feel like I've done it long enough now to where I want to be, at least with this project, in the space of like, let's be creative with it. Let's just have fun. I don't want to aim for numbers for anything. I don't want to rely on any of that kind of stuff. Like numbers are great. I still love them. I still like going over all of that. I'm not opposed to doing anything like that, but I don't want to be guided by that. I want it to be by the feel of the process based on the history that I have with these sites and with these varietals.
I feel like when I think of like Rhone whites, I love Rhone whites and I love Roussanne. Like Roussanne, I love that weight. I love that, with that mouthfeel. This one it's got its own. It's like got its own real. It's not as heavy as a Roussanne, but it's got mouthfeel. It's got like texture to it. That's really fun. What do you think about this wine, Taylor?
I love it. I'm always, especially in whites, I like whites with tension.
Oh, okay. Cool.
So I want.
Love how you put that.
Yeah, I want like acid, but I also want texture. I want the best of both worlds. And so I love like smelling this wine. The aromatics are so like floral. There you get the citrus notes and all that like fun perfuminess of that. tasting it, I'm like, initially, I'm like, wow, that's, I've dabbled in claret, and sometimes it can be pretty fickle for me. I'm like, oh man, like, what did we do wrong here or something? Or, oh gosh, it's too lean or something. And like finding that sweet spot, is super awesome. And I think you nailed it on this. Like,
thank you.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool, dude.
Everything that I like in a white is, perfume, aromatics, acid, texture, all of it. What's like the hardest part about making claret?
I got really lucky the first go around. I mean, I think now for me, to be honest with you, is that like that vintage, that site, that space, like I love this wine a lot. I'm never going to replicate it. So what does it look like? What does the next iteration look like? And the next iteration look like? Because like you said, it can vary a lot. And I find that both claret and Picpoul can kind of run on the reductive side. And so for me, managing the oxygen, I don't have, like I said, I don't have the cojones to just brown everything out, and claret won't brown out. So I wouldn't know it either, like if it's too much oxygen or anything like that. So I allow for some oxygen, and I ferment everything in neutral French oak. Typically I might bring in a barrel, a vintage for something specific if I have it in mind. But it's just kind of managing the oxidative reductive side of claret and Picpoul, both of those varieties. Because I feel like if it goes wrong, it's harder to recover, because you start to mask those pretty aromatics and all the things you want that are kind of on the oxidative side.
You're feeling in a fun spot. I think you're tasting your wines up at like where Villicana Refined is.
Yep.
That's a legendary spot.
It is a legendary spot.
I mean, I think of like, gosh, Alta Colina back in the day, before they moved, down the street. We're there. I think of like
Edgar was there.
Bodegas de Edgar. Yeah. That's right. He's got a brand new tasting room. He's doing exciting stuff. We got to get him in here. But no, like that's a really cool legendary spot. You're up there with Monica and Alex Villicana. They got, of course, their wine, but they got Refined Distillery. So you're not going thirsty at all when you're up there.
No, it's trying not to get too
right.
and too into it. I was really stoked when I saw it came on. It took me about a year. Cyril and I were hunting for about a year to find a spot. Mm-hmm. It's tough because, I always talk about like not only like positions in the industry, but like locations for tasting rooms, everything. They're all puzzle pieces. Like, does your puzzle piece actually match the spot that you're trying to fit it in? And I had gone tasting there with my wife after our first child was born. Our daughter was born. We went there in the beginning of 2019. It was the first time we were able to make it out of the house where the in-laws felt cool watching the baby for a little while. And we went up there and went tasting with Edgar and had a great time. So when it came on the market, all the good feels from that were there. And I was like, man, I love this spot. I just told Cyril, go out and check it out. And if you feel like you can work with that for the front of the house stuff, then cool. Let's hop on it before anyone else does, because spots are at a premium. I mean, we talk about how tough it is, but for how tough it is, it's not like there's a swath of places to go and find and pour your wines at. So, that does say something about the industry here in Paso.
How many different wines are you tasting up there?
Ooh, we got a bunch. Okay. I try to keep enough white wines to do like an entire flight of whites.
How many different white SKUs do you have?
So I make 3 a year minimum.
Cool.
I did 4 in 24. I might do an additional one again I did an additional one again for the 25.
Tell me them all.
Man, so it varies, right? So
really? Okay.
I started off in 22. I did a Roussan, 100% Roussan, 100% awesome. Picpoul Blanc, cool. And then a white Rhone blend with Viognier, Grenache Blanc, Roussan, and Picpoul Blanc. The very next year was when I started in on Claret and some Grenache Blanc and Claret. For that, I did individual varietals and did a blend where I incorporated some Picpoul Blanc on that. And then the same, very similar in 25. But I did the extended age version of this in 24, and in 25, I wanted to take some of the blend and do the same kind of thing with some new oak and some extra time in barrel.
Tell me the story behind this beautiful Grenache, Taylor.
So 2023 Grenache. This is from Armory Vineyard.
2023, what a shit vintage, huh?
Yeah, that's awful.
Just gorgeous.
Love it. It's funny we talk about like good vintages, bad vintages. I feel like I learn more from the bad vintages.
Sure.
I think like sometimes on the good vintages is like, it's just is easy. It's just everything is laid out on the line. But
what a good point.
This vineyard is cool. This is Will John farms this. This vineyard sits due west of Halter Ranch and Tobless Creek, kind of in that realm up there in Adelaida with Tobless Creek, Halter Ranch, Justin, all surrounding this little vineyard. I think they planted this back in 2016 or 17, mostly cab vineyard, actually. He's got like a couple acres of Mourvèdre, a couple acres of Grenache out there. And I've been lucky to peel off about a ton every year from a Grenache block out there, all dry farmed. It's virtually impossible to dry farm up in that area, and especially with young plantings. I mean, getting fruit on the market for him in 2018, so special. So you get this like dense, concentrated, Grenache. It's kind of shouldery, a little more masculine version of it. I always, it's tricky. It's a tricky vineyard to work with because it's dry farm. So we get like super high bricks, but that soil up there, I mean, we're picking this probably 28 bricks and like a 3.2 pH. It is wild. And then throwing stems back in just to boost that pH a little bit,
wow.
So it's not so acidic. It's not so like, ooh, that's zippy. I think, that's part of, stem inclusion. All of Cutbow wines, especially on the red side, are going to have some sort of element of stem inclusion.
Yeah.
That changes every year. We talk about just feel. Like I come from a background as well of like working in a machine. Booker was such a machine. It was a beast. It's, numbers driven, this and that. And so moving over to Levo and now doing Cutbow and stuff, it's like, oh, I want that creative expression. I want that just like feel as you go. And so, I think this had about 30%. We got like 3 bins that year. And I was just like, yeah, 1 bin, just start stepping on it. And, but yeah, it's a fun vineyard to work with. I'm always trying to, make the best wine I can, just go out there. Hey, my sole job is to make the best wine I can. After that, make varietally correct wines. We make, Grenache, Syrah, Mourvèdre, we might make a blend here and there depending on the year. But for the most part, I was like vineyard designate wines, from a single variety, and that's going to be it. So yeah, like we're talking about puzzle pieces as well. Like, you get these other wineries, these bigger guys that they have all these different puzzle pieces that they're able to pick from and, match up and create this, pretty picture. For us, it's like, I don't know, and you might,
it's limited.
It's limiting, right? Booker may work with a 10,000 piece puzzle, but I'm working with a 10-piece puzzle. Like that's it. So, that picture better come out, pretty damn good at the end of it. But
it's a beautiful wine. What do you like about this wine?
So it's really well balanced. I love the nose on it. It's very pretty. I feel like for using the whole cluster, it doesn't tread on the nose. Sometimes like some of the whole cluster can step a little bit on the Grenache, but it doesn't in this case. There's great density to it, like you said, but it's not overly weighted. Like, again, similar to the Chardonnay, this has like that kind of like nice introductory acid. And one of the things I love in a red wine is when you have that kind of building tannin and then it finishes with that kind of crispness and you like, it dries you out a little bit, but then you salivate a little bit.
Yes.
Very end. And I love that. And like a Paso red, I feel like that's like a hallmark for me of like, you're close to balance in that spot.
I think Grenache is also just as a winemaker, it's hard to make. Like, I look at winemaking a lot of times like, oh, I want a challenge. I want something that's difficult. Chardonnay can be difficult. Grenache can be difficult. You get these high tannin, low color elements, and it's hard for them to bind. It's hard for them to match up and create this like mouthfeel and texture. And so like making Grenache for me is always like, oh, that's going to be a challenge. And then if you master that, if you, do it right that year, you're like, yes, I won. Right. I did it. Like, okay, let's go do it next year.
I love that. What is the variety, Phil, that makes you go, yeah, this is gonna put me to the test?
Very often Grenache. I would completely agree with that. Sometimes Mourvèdre, but I wouldn't say that's on the winemaking side. That's more on the vineyard side. I would love more Mourvèdre planted out there, but I feel like most vineyard managers are tearing their hair out dealing with it because it can be very finicky in the vineyard, and it's one varietal that'll just kind of like fold up its skirt and call it a day in the middle of a vintage. And so On the winemaking side, it's a little easier, but it's another one too in general in Paso. But that said, those two varietals are very unique to Paso. I mean, you talked about kind of like varietal typicity, and I think it's really interesting. I had this guy come in and taste when I was working over at Denner, and he was a French winemaker, and I poured him some Grenache, and he said, "Oh, no. This is not Grenache." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's Grenache." And I'm like, "No," he didn't believe it. And it's just like, the expressions that we have here are uniquely Paso. And it's a really interesting thing because, I mean, kind of going back to what we were talking about before, we don't all need to be channeling the same expression, but we have these layers of very unique expression in Paso that you just don't typically find places. And like, you go down, I love a lot of what's happening in Santa Barbara County, but that's a whole different shade, right? And so we have this unique opportunity and unique box to operate with both those varietals that is, like, to me, super fun. I mean, that's why the GSM blend stuff is done as well as it's done in my mind. Syrah's kind of a safe bet most places, but the Grenache and the Morvet are kind of like the things that help you really kind of push the accelerator pedal.
What is this wine that I have in my glass?
So GSM blend from 24. So
Okay.
I have this is another one that I will, both the Claret and this blend I'll release in the fall.
Okay, these are not even, we haven't even
Not
rolled the
even
curtains back on these.
released.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, you can
Look at that. Cheers to that, Taylor. We're VIPs, baby.
And so,
So privileged.
Right? Wine privilege are the
I want to bring something different. I mean, I'm really jazzed on this particular blend. Yeah, I strayed away from a standard GSM blend in 23 because 23 being kind of the unicorn vintage it was, I really leaned into doing predominantly like individual varietals on each of the SKUs we do for the reds.
That's interesting. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get the opportunity all the time. I'm a big proponent of like, you know, I need to make the best wine I can. I'm not going to sacrifice the sales pitch, or I'll sacrifice the sales pitch for the wine quality, not vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it needs to change, or if I feel like I can do something really fun and unique to highlight something, I tell people all the time, I am a Paso wine fanboy, and I'm a wine nerd. I fell down this rabbit hole unintentionally, just like all the other people that come to Paso and all of a sudden make trip after trip. I'm just way deeper down the rabbit hole because now I've got a whole lot more wine, hanging around in barrels and in cellars places. So, I want, again, to hunt for that kind of intriguing and that fun. And if I can highlight something, or if I feel like, hey, the wine nerd in me would want to try this wine or be offered this wine, then that's something that I will think about when I go to put the wine together.
I love that. I love how you put that.
Where are you getting fruit from? Where's all this fruit coming from?
So, the first vintage was all from the TH Now Trust property. Except for some Bassetti fruit. I worked with the Bassettis while I was making wine for the Hoages, and I absolutely love what they do over there. I paused it briefly because to me, the Cool Climate Syrah is a component in the entire program. And I, year after year, was getting shorted on especially Syrah, but a lot of the reds in the area. We kind of had some lighter yields places. And so I was falling behind on the Paso percentage of the fruit versus the coastal. So I paused, but I would eagerly look back at like trying to do some more coastal Syrah as well, because I absolutely love the profile that you get from there. This particularly the Grenache is from Coakley. The Syrah is from Kyler, so right next door. Syrah and Morvet are from Kyler, so right next door to the Trust property now. But I had worked with that property since 2015 when I started with the Hoages, and so that's the longest running vineyard I've worked with. So part of keeping that site is that's kind of like a home base for me. I really want to expand more. I mean, if it was, I tell people all the time, it was up to me, I'd be grabbing fruit from anybody and everybody right now, because there's, it's just a bunch of awesome fruit out there to be had. Luckily, like Cyril is the feet on the ground, so he tugs me down on one side. My wife's my feet on the ground on the other side. So each one of them has one leg, and I'm not floating away too crazy.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, there's a lot of amazing little corridors and pockets and nooks and crannies in Paso. We talk all about like the diversity from site to site, but it is really true growing up around here. It's very different everywhere you go.
If you could get fruit from anywhere, Taylor, you could get this much to make whatever you want, where is it?
I don't have an answer for that. I've been asked that question.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I have an answer. I mean, I think I'd rather farm a vineyard myself.
Really?
Yeah. I think there's something cool. Like I've the past, I don't know, what are we in July now? The past 6 months, I've been doing a lot of farming and, it's
a heavy bottle right there, dude.
Yeah. It's
Heavier the bottle, heavier the score.
it's a bit douchey. I don't know.
It's a good bottle. I love that.
But yeah, I don't know.
You wouldn't want, ton from James Barry or G2 or this or that.
Yes,
James Barry would be up there for me. I'd put that out there that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Listen to this, Justin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes and no for me. I think, I don't know how much like vineyard sites are selling wine these days, to be completely honest. I think that, like, oh yeah, this Beckstoffer Napa Cab, like, I don't think people care that much anymore. I think people want just a solid bottle of wine. I think what's
you're onto something, but I mean, I think if you were to ask like a Bill Gibbs that question, he would probably say maybe something a little different because marketing your property and he stakes everything in that. But I think you're kind of onto something. People want good wines and they just feel they can feel connected to, and they may not feel so connected to the name in the same way like they do for their shoes or their bag or you know what I mean, like.
What's more important to me is the farming practices.
For sure.
I think,
that's what makes these big
for
names.
all of our wines that we're making at Cutbow, we're seeking out, sustainably farmed, at least organically farmed wines. These vineyards are organically farmed. I'm not one like you don't have to have a certification, even though I think you should. If you're going to say you're farming organically, well, put your money where your mouth is and go get the certification. I think regenerative farming is absolutely up there. I'm working with the site right now. We're trying to get that vineyard going and on the regenerative side as well. So entering that 3-year span for that. But that's more important to me. That's more of my ethos is, I grew up in the outdoors. I want to pay it back. I want to leave this world better for my kids when I leave. I want to leave the world better than when I found it. And so if we can farm correctly and we can farm using organic practices and regenerative practices, I think the wines end up turning out better because of that. Yeah. So working with like a name brand vineyard isn't so much as an important factor for me. It's more so like, what is that site? Where is it?
Right.
How are they farming it? That's more important.
What about you, Phil? You get to choose a couple tons from anywhere. Who do you choose?
I mean, to be honest with you, it would be James Barry.
Yeah.
But there's the reason for me. I mean, I completely agree with you, Taylor. Like I think we're already seeing, thanks to like heavy efforts from, like Chris Cherry, from Talbot's Creek.
Yep.
There's a lot more inroads now for people to make that decision that weren't there even 5 years ago. So, I hope that we see that. I hope that becomes the standard. That should be the standard. Like we should be moving in that direction. As someone who like ran around these hills as a kid, I want to see the same thing. The reason I still would go with something like James Barry is that I grew up here and there's a nostalgia for me in that. Like there's a piece of like, I think about like the winemaking family trees. And I think about just like, I grew up here. I actually lived on Willow Creek, just the opposite direction. So the school bus would drive me around that, every day. It was like, I talked with Justin one time cause, I was like, hey man, I was like the last kid dropped off. Because it went your direction. He's like, no, when I was a kid, it went the opposite direction. And I was the last kid dropped off. And I'm like, well, we both got screwed. Okay. Yeah. But I've walked by the property a bunch. I rode bikes by the property. It's just kind of like, to me, when I moved here,
just like real estate.
It's just like all of the like Willow Creek in general for sure holds a special spot because I lived out there and I ran around out there, and that was a central piece of my childhood. And then a central piece of my winemaking, like kind of childhood growing up into this, revolves around, selling him some fruit with the Hoages and being around that property. And so to me, like, I think the thing that we love to do is throw the baby out with the bathwater, like in the sense that like, we're also quick to want to prove our chops and to make our mark, that it is sometimes kind of like, and it's natural. I feel like this is like the kid, like I have kids now, they'll get to the point where they're like, whatever you think's cool is not cool, Dad. And it's like, I think we have a little bit of that vibe sometimes in Paso, and I love what everybody's doing. I think like we lit like this era of like winemaking, this era of music, this era of stuff in general. We have access to like all these different styles and all these different like impressions and inspirations and directions for people. It's a really cool time. Like probably the hardest thing for people is how do you sell Paso? Because it's like you have fresh, vibrant, like people doing lower and lower alcohol stuff. You have, you know, your big bombers, you have stuff in the middle. Like I feel like I try to sit in the middle. I've got a couple of vintages of some bigger bombers in there for sure. But there's a whole plethora, and it all does well. They're all really well made wines. Like I think if you took people from 40 years ago in Paso and you dropped them in Paso today, they'd be blown away at the wine that's being made.
Oh, you can talk to those people though. Like they come up here and they're like, what the heck has happened? You know, you got 2 Michelin star restaurants in town and you got all this like stuff. So yeah, I mean, Paso has blown up. I mean, I haven't been up here that long. I think, you know, I moved to SLO in 2014 and, you know, 4 years later moved up here in Paso. And so, but yeah, even since I've been up here, it's changed for the better.
You know, absolutely. Before I ask Taylor how to taste his wines, what grape would you pick? You get Jamesberry fruit. What are you picking?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
I don't know. It's all.
You just get one.
I just get one.
I've always had I've loved Anthony's Jamesberry Vineyard White, and he's had that forever, even before Justin was making a white. And I don't know, I mean, like Jamesberry Roussan might be pretty bomb.
You know what? That would be on brand for this brand for sure.
Yeah, okay.
A white. You know, I would be game for. Honestly, I'd be game for whatever.
Yeah, right.
I love
beggars can't be choosers.
Yeah, right, can't be choosers. You know, just again, if you have extra fruit hanging around up there. But no, you know, it's just built-in memories. I mean, I could go on for hours on that.
You should ride your bikes around there. I mean,
yeah, I know. I mean, so I was back in school at Cal Poly, and the Cal Poly people sent something up to Justin because they're trying to get me an internship. And so he had already hired his interns, but he's like, you know what, send the guy up anyways. And he spent the day showing me around. They were building the caves at the time. He spent like more time than necessary for sure. And then he plugged me in with Matt Trevinson, which was a whole nother experience, which was awesome. And so it's like kind of those are like formative years for me, you know, and it's like, they're not direct mentors, but I'm kind of somewhat in the lineage, you know, adjacent on a lot of this stuff that way. And those guys have been great. I mean, and the fact that it's like I feel like they're some of the guys in that bubble that set the tone, and they're not too big for their britches ever. You know, It's like a very down to earth. It's like, they'll have great conversations. They're amazing people. And if you didn't know, they're kind of people where if you didn't know it was them, like they're walking to the grocery store,
for sure.
You know,
super humble.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Trevi.
It's just like,
there's Trevi and Trader Joe's or whatever, right?
Yeah.
How do we taste your wines, Mr. Taylor? How do we taste these beautiful Cutbow wines?
Hit us up on social media. Go to our website, cutbowwines.com.
So you will organize a tasting with someone if they desire.
Yeah, we do tastings as often as we can.
Okay.
You know,
these are beautiful wines. Tell me this last one with your Labrador on the front is a beautiful wine.
Yeah, this is our 2023 Jack Creek Vineyard Syrah. Such a fun site to work with. This is actually funny because my wife used to run around that vineyard as a kid in middle school, and you know, back when the Cruises owned it, and you know, she worked her first harvest there at, you know, like 13, 14 years old in middle school on the sorting table. And to now be making, you know, buying fruit from them and making the wine from there, it's been super fun and full circle moment. And I think this site, especially for Syrah, is like one of my favorites. And, you know, you were asking me about like, oh, this one site, like what could you get? I'm like, I kind of get it. I love this Jack Creek Vineyard Syrah. Yeah. It's such a like anomaly in Paso. It's cool climate almost, or I wouldn't really consider it cool climate.
Well, they're growing Pinot out there.
Yeah, I mean they're they're probably more known for their Pinot and Chard than they are any other Rhone varieties out there. So the Syrah actually is like wild how much more savory and spicy it is than it is in like texture driven blue and black fruit.
Great story. They've been doing sparkling wine longer than a lot of most people. It's a cool story. And, you know, I'm a big fan of York Mountain. You're starting to get out towards that even more.
I was going to say, it's like York adjacent.
Yes,
so
right.
It's
It
like
very much is.
It's like right there. Honestly, like for the longest time, I've loved the Syrahs from the property. You know, to me, like one of the things I love about Syrah is it's kind of very telling of the place that it comes up in. And so I think to me, it's always been a little pocket like right through there where you still have some of the like the body of the Paso stuff, but you're starting to build in, Taylor, like you're saying, like the savory, which is like part of what you like completes the Syrah in my mind. Like if
I think you need that element in Syrah. Like when it's just pure fruit and it's just blue and black hedonism, it's like
there's a ton of place, but it's a little monolithic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Like that's
that white, that black pepper, that
I want that like olive tapenade. And so that's what's fun about working with this site. Because I feel like you get the best of both worlds. Like
totally.
It's almost just like Northern Rhone meets, you know, Southern Rhone Syrah.
I'm a big fan of, have you tried the York Mountain Syrah yet? From Epic? Mm-hmm. It's like, you can't, it's so good. Or look at, even go more like up the coast. Like remember Stolo's Syrah or I mean, I don't know. Is Justin doing Syrah?
He's got Cayucas
Ridge.
Yeah. It's all Syrah.
It's all Syrah.
Yeah.
It's not doing any whites there. I didn't go to that.
No,
He did an industry thing recently where he had people out there. I missed it, but so cool. Like where we could see this like ocean influence on this like incredible grape, you know?
Yeah. It's wild. Like, I mean, I think all varieties, you know, are going to definitely change through their little microclimates and stuff. There's no doubt about that. But there's certain ones that change dramatically. And I think Syrah is definitely one of those. Like it's like so diverse in how like, oh, you get it a little like even 5 degrees cooler it changes so much.
So hit up Taylor and our friends at Cutbow. We'll give you all the links in the show notes. Taste their wines. They will set you up with a tasting. These wines, absolutely beautiful. IIWII. We can taste these up off Adelaide Road.
On Adelaide Road, 2725 Adelaide, I believe, if I remember correctly. We are there right upstairs from Refine in Villicana. They're definitely worth checking out too, especially on this. Some of those spirits are amazing down there.
Leading the way with the first ones.
They continue to lead the way with it. And so we're up there. We're open regularly Friday through Sunday during the summer. When kids get back in school, we look at maybe expanding that a little bit. We are by appointment the rest of the week, so we can kind of work some stuff out outside of that. You can find wines on the website as well, social media, anywhere where you can reach out to either Cyril or I. You can find us and we'll get you wine.
Do you say IIWII or IIWII?
IIWII.
IIWII.
IIWII. I like it. You smile both times when you say IIWII. You smile twice when you say it that way. And you know, we need more smiles out there.
Yeah, I love this. This was so much fun. I just can't wait for more people to listen to this and go like, dude, I'm going to go check out Cutbow. I'm going to go check out IIWII. It's on.
It's fun. It's fun.
It's a good draft class, 22.
Yeah.
Right? Of course it is. Yeah. I mean, last episode we had Kyle Jury on from Trust. Like, dude, good draft class.
Well, and you got the Kemps and
Oh,
the
right.
Kemps are killing it. Yeah.
Turanian, Alex Kemp, Vince Grenache. You're right, dude.
Is that 22 as well?
I think they were right around there, or 23.
We'll call it 22.
Yeah. Because I mean, it's like in that same class of you guys.
Yeah.
You know,
We have a class party.
So cool. Well, this has been so much fun. Let me put wine in the. Oh, we got wine in the glass. Good. Cheers, gentlemen.
Cheers.
To both of you guys.
Santé.
Give me that moonshine, we'll get by. We pass on round till the job is done. Camped out in the trees, we'll simplify good company.
That was Phil of IIWII, Taylor of Cutbow Wines, and I love where that conversation landed. Two winemakers still working their day jobs, still hustling, grinding, still learning, and still making premium wines that deserve a place on your radar, no doubt. Phil and Cyril took the foundation they helped build at TH Estate, turned it into IIWII. Taylor and Emma Mathiesen took a surprise ton of Grenache and a push from Brett Ernest of Levo and a lifetime connection to the outdoors and built Cutbow. Both stories come back to the same thing. Paso opens doors. The people here share what they know, and they expect the next group to take it somewhere new. That's how a region grows without losing its soul. And that's what I always think about when someone goes, well, is Paso going to turn into Napa? No, dummy. Look at this. Listen to the show. You see what I'm saying? All right. Now it's time to trade in the corkscrew for the cocktail shaker. We're going to hit the Paso Robles Distillery Trail in today's Travel Paso Spotlight. And let me say this clearly. Paso's distillers are not some cute little side dish to the wine scene. Now, they're making world-class spirits. Whiskey, brandy, gin, vodka, rum, liqueurs, distinctive small batch bottles made by people who are obsessed with ingredients, with technique, with time and place. Sound familiar? Well, it should. Because just like Paso Wine, this is a community of producers doing things at an incredibly high level, often in small spaces, small teams with a whole lot of personality behind every single pour. And they're coming together for a Distillery Trail weekend, August 7th through 9th. And it's your chance to experience that community on its own turf. For 3 days, these distilleries across the trail from all over SLO CAL, all over the county, open their doors and build. It's kind of like a build your own adventure. There's no general admission ticket required. You pick up a map at any participating distillery or at the Paso Visitor Center even. Choose your route and hit the trail at your own pace. Visit at least 6 distilleries, get your map stamped at each stop, and you'll earn a free limited edition Paso Distillers shot glass. Got a nice little leather encasement. It's pretty cool, which is a pretty solid little trophy for a weekend of responsible research, I'd say. And please, and I'm serious about that, plan the route, share the driving, hire a car, stay the night, do what you got to do. For people who want to level up on the weekend, they also got this copper card. This thing is an actual pocket-sized copper pass, and it comes loaded with perks. Cardholders receive 1 complimentary tasting at every participating distillery, access to private tours, demos, special events during the trail weekend, plus it never expires. It feels so rad in your wallet. And if you have somebody in your life that likes this whole scene, this is just a great gift. It's like $125. And if you were to add up what it's worth to taste at all these places, it's well over double. It's a crazy deal. And the best part, you whip out this copper card when you're at one of the distilleries. They're just like, got you. It's like, family's here. Okay, cool. And they treat you good. The copper card is rad. It's really cool. They sell it for a finite amount of time. So go check out the 2026 copper card. Also, check out Distillery Trail Weekend. And I got to tell you, I want you to meet these people, taste something you've never heard of. But small distillers, this is what I was going to tell you about. They're facing some real business challenges right now, including kind of an uncertain future around their ability to ship bottles directly to customers the same way wineries can. And they've come out of COVID and been given extensions and laws. And as of this moment, they can, but that can change, and it will change at the end of the year. So it could be 25, 30% of a business gone like that. So there are big players with big money, big distribution companies that are really getting in the way. And they're not even from California. I mean, we're talking about billionaires that are out of state dictating and putting big money behind making sure our distillers aren't allowed to reach the customers that already love them, that already want to buy direct from them. So I'm going to put a link in the show notes to I guess it's not really so much a petition, but it tells you what's going on. It's a link to this article that's fascinating to read. And it's just you when you read it, you'll be like, oh, damn, obviously. And they have a really cool digital way that you can email your representatives. It takes I think I did it in 6 seconds. It was ridiculously easy. I hit the link, you write your name, you write your zip code, and then all your representatives come up like, oh, Senator Laird or Assemblywoman, blah, blah, blah. And you just hit go. And an email from your address will go to your representative saying, look, we need to support our local distillers. This is ridiculous. Let them keep their customers. Let them, let their customers go to them directly. Duh, right? So all those links in the show notes, I had to mention that because We're really trying to get the word out. I love these guys, these men and women in this business, whether it's wine, the spirits, they just mean the world to me. And I know they mean the world to you. It's why you're connected here. So we'll put that link in the show notes. I'd love for you to make your voice heard. All right. Also go to Paso Robles distillerytrail.com and check out Distillery Trail Weekend, August 7th through 9th. And oh yes, links in the show notes. All right. That is going to do it for this one. Once again, thanks to Phil of IIWII, also Taylor of Cutbow. I want to meet Cyril. I want to meet Emma. We only had these two, Phil and Taylor, but what a great conversation. I really enjoyed both of them. Both the wines, bomb too. Get your hands on these. You know, the day jobs, the late nights, you just got to go pay respect and go find these wines. You're going to be thankful that you did. Visit IIWII, connect with Cutbow. All right, before we get out of here, let's do a little housekeeping. Where Wine Takes You is executive produced by Joel Peterson and Paso Wine. Associate producer is Krista Smith. Original music by Moonshiner Collective. The song's called Good Company. You can learn more about them, moonshinercollective.com. Check them out live. Beautiful. They're Under the Moon concert series, Friday, August 14th in San Luis Obispo at Dairy Creek. It's a great evening. Rolling hills, you're on the grass, you're listening to music, having a little bev. It's great. Check it out. The Under the Moon concert series, moonshinercollective.com. Me, you can go to adammontiel.com. My other shows, my daily radio podcast, Up and Adam. I got The Pour. I got adammontiel.com. Click the Connect tab. Would love to. Oh, we're coming out. We're doing this. We're doing that. Let us know what's up. If you need any recs or whatever it is, you have an idea for the show, please reach out. I love to hear from you. adammontiel.com and simply click that Connect tab to drop a line. Thank you so much for listening, sharing the show, following, rating, reviewing, subscribing, and really helping us keep pushing forward. Every share matters. Every review really helps, gives us traction. And every time you send this episode to somebody who loves Paso, who loves wine, who loves people crazy enough to make it, you help this community grow. So for that, thank you. I'm your host, Adam Montiel. Here's to that draft class of 2022. And to anyone building brands after hours, chasing fruit, cleaning tanks, answering emails, and still finding enough energy to dream bigger. May the small lots turn into long stories, the side hustles turn into legacies, and every leap into the unknown open up a whole new way to explore where wine takes you.
Give me that moonshine, we get by, we pass all around till the job is done. Can't die in the cheese, it will simplify good company. Give me that moonshine, we get by, we pass all around till the job is done. Can't die in the cheese, it will simplify good company. Give me that moonshine, we get by, we pass all around till the job is done. Can't die in the cheese, it will simplify good company. Give me that moonshine, we get by, we pass all around till the job is done. Camped out in the trees, we'll simplify good company.